Well, hello again, fellow YouTube auto repair DIY enthusiasts. I'm going to continue to add to my channel with these small repairs that I do on my fleet of cars. Yes, I do have a fleet. I have 5 cars. Today I'm going to work on my 97 Toyota Camry LE that has about 216,000 miles on it. You can't kill this car. I have done some of the repairs myself. Some I've turned over to a mechanic, but it's a fairly easy car to work on. Now, today, actually, it's a delayed job. Several years ago, I put some new McPherson struts on this automobile. This automobile has McPherson struts all the way around, so needless to say, they're very expensive. Now, I've never done a spring compressor to be able to repair these things, so I got the Monroe quick struts. And if you know how to get on at Advanced Auto Parts and look for the coupon codes, basically it was 25% off. So I got 3 plus 1 free. Just bide your time. Watch for the coupon codes on Advanced Auto. Well, there are these connected to the struts. There are these little stabilizer links, and they were bad at the time, and I've had them sitting here in the garage, please excuse the messiness, for the last year and a half, and I decided, well, it's time for some routine maintenance on this particular vehicle, and I would go ahead and change those. As a matter of fact, I believe on this driver's side, on this passenger side front, one of the boots has torn with age and has leaked all the grease out. Now, let me get a little closer here. Yep. As you can see, that is NC State. As I like to say, my son and my paycheck go to NC State. Good school. I have put it up on jack stands. Safety, safety, safety. Never trust just a jack. I've put it up on jack stands, taken the wheels off to gain access. And if you look right here, there's the stabilizer link. And that's a fairly long one. There's 2 in the front, 2 in the rear. Now, if I get around here, there's the bottom of it right there. So in order to take these off, it's fairly simple. These happen to be like a 14 millimeter nut. But if you notice in the center there's an indentation, and what that is an area to put an Allen wrench in case that nut continues to spin and you can't get it off. 14 millimeter nut, and I believe that's a 5 millimeter Allen wrench. As I have learned with this, I take this one off first. Well, why do I do that? Well, if you can see my pry bar there, what happens is when you try and get the head of the wrench in here, because what I was using was a ratchet wrench, it doesn't have enough room. You have to lift it up. So what I did is I took the pry bar, stuck a piece of wood up under here, then I could get that large head of my ratchet wrench under there. That just makes it so much easier. And give me just a second, I'll show you what it looks like when I put it all together. That's how things would come off. Now again, on this one I was able to get my impact wrench and spin it off without having to do this particular method of removing the nut. It was on the back side, of course, the one that's always most difficult. It wouldn't work, but you can put your wrench here and hold it with a 3/8 inch, in this case 3/8 inch ratchet wrench, and unscrew it, and that keeps the actual stem from going anywhere. Now again, down here you'll notice it's on the back side. That's what makes it so difficult. So I put the piece of wood up under there, lifted it up. Because I took the top one out first, I do have the ability to move things around. I'll show you. Now there's also tension from the other side, unless you take them both off at the same time. But there's a little tension on both sides, but not much. Now, see, I can take that out. Then I can go down here, and I can lift things up fairly high. I've got plenty of room now. And I went ahead and what really helps if you have one of the box style that's ratcheting. makes it even faster. I have that. I just didn't want to dig through my tools. So here's the number 14 box. I'm going to go ahead and take this out, and then I'm going to go to the other side. Alright, how do you like my outdoor workbench? So here is the one from the driver's side. A little age on it. And they're interchangeable. Doesn't matter which is on top, which is on the bottom, which is on the left, which is on the right in this case. And you can see where that, that's good focus there. You can see where the Allen wrench goes. Okay, whoop. Looks like a tear over here. Again, got a little age, a little rough. So let me go remove the second one. Let's see how it looks. Alrighty, I'm back, and I just took the one off of the passenger side. Now I wasn't quite as lucky with the impact wrench on that upper nut. It would just spin, so I had to put the Allen wrench in the notch and pull it apart. So again, it has seen better days, but yeah, this thing was due. Not so much that one. This is the one on the bottom. You might say this was due for replacement. No grease left whatsoever. The boot's hanging out. So let's just say it's time to replace this. Gosh, this is probably original too. I don't recall ever having these replaced. So 217,000 miles, that's pretty good. But you can see, yep, that's shot. Now when I do put this back together, I've got to look and see what the torque specs are. At the very same time, I'm going to start looking for any oil leaks, which now that I've pulled this apart, I do see a bit of a leak down there. I'm going to see if I can find that origin. Let me go back to the car and show you that. If you look back there where my flashlight is directed, yeah, I got some oil there. Now, I don't believe it's my boot, so I'll check that out. So there's the boot right there for the axle. I don't believe it's the boot, but I will double check anyway since I'm under here. Yeah, a substantial amount of oil that's gone down there. But on second thought too, if you know the design of this car, you know, a lot of stuff can get dripped down there from the design of this particular oil filter. I mean, no matter how you look at it, it's extremely difficult to keep this clean. Most of the guys change oil are pretty conscientious, but you know, when you drive up, this car's hot and you're right next to the manifold. So probably a lot of that could be residual oil from here. I do need to have this engine cleaned. I may do that. It's pretty dirty. You know, engines like that are dirty, all this oil can be a fire hazard too, especially near a manifold. Wow, there's a lot of oil and grime and grease under this car. Now here's your oil pan. Man, it goes all the way back here. I think it's just years of oil changes and things splashed. It's up here toward the actual power steering pump. Now I'm not losing any fluid from the power steering pump. I mean, I could have a seeping line, and it just so happened that one reason I was doing this today is I was going to go ahead and change the power steering fluid. Probably haven't been changed in a while. Had a steering rack put in this car probably about 4 or 5 years ago, so I'm going to go ahead and just do the steering rack, and I figured I'd just look at things at the same time. If you look way over here up under the transmission, way up over there, lots of oil and stuff. I've had this transmission serviced a couple years ago, but I think this car just needs a good engine cleaning. Now I did the brakes and the upper and lower ball joints a couple of years ago when I did those struts. Those are all good, but yep, lots of oil under here. So there's some guys in town that actually cleaned my Ford Ranger a couple of years ago and did a great job, and the engine smelled good. I've never had a good smelling engine, but it did. And I mean, it was clean as a whistle. They did an excellent job. So I'm going to take it back to these same folks. Alright, things look pretty good. I'm going to check the wear and tear on my brakes. There's a little bit of squealing on the left, that driver's side. So I'm just going to check and see how much pad I have left and probably shoot some brake clean on there. I don't think I'm going to take anything off and have the rotors turned. Again, just maintenance items here. I am on this passenger side, and I've just put this stabilizer link back in, but I misinformed you earlier. I had a duh moment. It does matter which way these links go in. The last of my automobiles I did this on, it was kind of universal, but in this case it was not. There's a slight angle this way, or I should say, if you can see my hand, this way, toward the fender well, toward the engine, and if you try and put the other stabilizer bar link in there, it won't line up. So I had to take it out and put this one in. But again, there's a certain angle, probably about 30 degrees toward the engine, so that this will line up. Remember, the bolt down here faces the engine, hard to get to. This is the one that faces you, that's easier to get to. I checked my Haynes manual and the spec says 29 foot-pounds. But before I torque everything down, I've just tightened it up. I'm going to go to the other side, put that one on, and then torque everything down. I just remembered something. When I did that last job, I went ahead and before I tightened everything down, I put the block of wood under here so that I could get my torque wrench in there. It's a very tight fit. If you don't have the block of wood, even if you try and use extensions all the way into the engine compartment, unless you can go around curves, because it curves downward, you're not going to be able to torque this thing down. And you can't lift it up once you get it connected because that's a solid connection. And as you can see, my torque wrench, I mean, I had just enough room to get my 3/8 inch torque wrench in there. So that's why I didn't fasten everything down right away. Lessons learned. So I'm going to do this on the other side. I've torqued that down to 29. I'm going to do the other side, the bottom ones first, and then I'll come up, reposition them, and do the top ones. So let's see how everything looks. I have both sides put on. Everything's torqued down to 29 foot-pounds. Bolt. Now, again, I see when everything is behind. Bolt back here. So both sides are secure. I double checked, the boots are good. Like I say, I found some oil in there, but nothing out of the ordinary. I think I will, I'm going to also do the power steering fluid, since I have it up on jack stands. I'll do that, then take the car, turn it around, do the rear ones. So I think things look pretty good at this point. I took a little break and did the power steering fluid flush and replace, drain and fill, and now I've backed the car into the garage. This is the driver's side rear stabilizer link. A bit easier to get in and get out. This only took about 10 minutes, and it's basically the same operation. I was lucky and was able to get this nut off at the top with the impact wrench, but when I got down here at the bottom, it would just continue to spin, so I had to use my number 5 Allen wrench to hold that in place. And you got a lot more room up under here for an impact wrench and torque wrenches. So that does make it a lot easier. And this one didn't look too bad. I mean, you know, it's got some age on it, but it wasn't like the torn one, the one that's toast that I pulled off the front. Again, has some age. Now, you know, I'm always talking about safety. I couldn't find any places in the rear like a tow hook or anything that I could jack the car up on. And if I put my jack at the jacking point, then I have no place to put the jack stand. So as a matter of safety, I went ahead and used my jacked the car up. And of course I never rely upon a jack to work under a car. You never know when the bushings or the seals might give and the car fall on you. So what I did is I did put the jack stand close to it in case the car did fall. Then I have some safety. So I'm going to put the tire back on, torque it, and go to the other side. Well, I think I'm finally done. Whew, that one wanted to provide a little problem. It wanted to keep spinning on me until I got it fairly tight. And, you know, I had to use the Allen head to keep it secure. So everything's nice and tight, torqued down to 29 foot-pounds. And this one, again, has some age on it, but it didn't look too terrible. Now granted, the ones up front, they really take the brunt. The weight of the engine and the turning. So the ones in the back you wouldn't expect to wear out nearly as quickly. So I think I'll end this for now. I'll go ahead and put the tire back on, torque those lug nuts down to 76 foot-pounds, and take her for a test drive. I really hope this helps, and you know, I'll add it to my small repertoire of videos, and I'll probably go back inside and take a shower before I do my recap. So I'm going to clean up a little bit, do a little recap, and then we'll put this on YouTube.